veteran service
And
officer, Nick, but
wireless
then
remote.
Ryan is the housing placement
Well, you
person
touch
for
a Yagi,
those veterans.
you touch a Yagi
Ryan,
again, but there's gotta be a way
Ryan
around
West,
that,
sorry.
because the
Ryan, no, his name
sensors
is
are
Ryan.
kicking that up for cellular
Not
or
Weber,
GPS
different Ryan.
coming back.
You could actually do that or reach out to Elizabeth Guzman, she's the
Or
housing.
it's gonna be a website, so I can
manager
do
over there,
that,
Elizabeth
but
Guzman.
what I needed to do is not only bounce it to me,
And they have an interim
Yeah,
ED
council
starting
signs.
today, so we can talk to him
Okay.
for what he
so
gets
maybe the
his feet
signs
under.
are.
But
this is
Elizabeth
al-
is
like I don't
probably,
really
and then I
wanna
can
spend
think,
too much time
or
figuring
you just
it
ask
out.
for their veterans
If we don't get the
person,
grant,
if
At
Elizabeth's
Care
not available, I care.
uh,
His name's Ryan,
radar
his last
sensors
name I
on
don't.
the grid, so I gotta get those back.
Because, yeah, and then,
It's got nothing to do with it.
just then we'll find out what shelter spaces are
Well, I asked him, I
available
said,
both
well,
here
you know,
and
who do I
in
need to
Milwaukee.
talk to now that's on the grid?
Because if they're gonna get a get out now notice, it would be great if those two agencies knew and were able to basically at least get a roof over their head while they figure out what they're gonna do.
So I got the guy to talk to.
I can give them.
You guys making yourself?
Which would be great, that would be a
No.
fantastic.
Need a gavel.
I don't wanna gavel.
We don't wanna get ready to keep it swinging.
You give
She
me-
gets, she gets a gavel, I'm going to remote.
Does everybody have the handouts? Is there a sign going around? Oh, perfect. Okay, we are gonna start this morning. I don't see anyone new with us. We're gonna start this morning with the county financial report. So this is the same report if you tuned in to the November 24th session. It is the same materials. This is part of our regular reporting. And this is what we would consider the quarterly financial report because it has the timber revenues updated in it. So, Deborah?
Okay, we're gonna run through this. The first page is a summary report, so if you wanted just a quick snapshot, you can look at this as I'm going through the report. Over to page 3, this report covers quarter 1, which is July 1 through September 30th, 2025, and compares actual performance to a typical quarter 1 based on the past decade. Because of the seasonal timing of revenues, quarter 1 generally operates at a net loss, ending with a lower cash balance than we started with. So this section serves as a summary of the major category reports that follow. Each category provides a comparison of quarter 1 results and typical quarter 1 patterns, highlighting how revenues and expenditures align with seasonal trends. The timber category also includes an update through quarter 2, offering a more current view of revenues. For quarter 1, we ended with a $2.0 million net loss. Our average net loss in quarter 1 for the past 5 years has been 2.5 to 2.6 million, so we're ending in a better position than we typically do. The main drivers behind that are timber revenue, which came in at 2.3 million, 811,000 above a typical quarter 1. Personnel services was underspent by 233,000 more than usual. Materials and services was spending more than typical, 292,000, and that includes transfers out as well. Over to property tax, into the weeds. Our most stable revenue usually grows about a 3.8% year over year, which translates to a $492,000 year-over-year increase for fiscal year 25. In fiscal year 25 quarter 1, we received 111,000. This past quarter 1, we received 158,000, which is about a 1.6% increase over prior year. Expected would be a 1.8% or 174,000, so we're just barely under what was a typical quarter 1 for property tax. Nothing to be concerned about, mostly timing related. So we go over to timber revenue. Fiscal year in 25, last year quarter 1, we had 900,000 in timber revenue received. This year we received 2.3 million, which is an increase of 1.38 million in our first quarter. This is about 59% of our fiscal year 25-26 budget, and we would have expected around 38% in a typical quarter 1. So factors behind that being so high as a percentage for that quarter 1 is that we have a lower timber budget in fiscal year in 26 at 3.9 million versus our average of 4.5. And we had strong first quarter receipts. 2.3 million is a good first quarter. Okay, on to other revenue. This is a big mixed bag. Charges for services, fines and forfeitures, intercounty charges, interest, intergovernmental revenue, licenses and permits, miscellaneous items, which include subpoenas, restitution, loan payments, and assessor collections, transfers into the general fund as well. So for last fiscal year, we had 1.9 million come into this category. This year we had 2.48 million, which is an increase of about 580,000. About 23.6% of our current budgeted amount. We would have expected 20.8 in a typical quarter one, so that's above average. Factors behind that are the parks support to the general fund transfers that are occurring and did happen in quarter one, which is 250,000. And transfer from the revenue stabilization fund, we did do in quarter one an additional 250,000. Okay, over to personnel services. Last fiscal year, quarter one was 4.28 million. This fiscal year, quarter one, 4.34 million, just a slight increase. $64,000, which was 22.3% of our budgeted amount. We would have expected in a typical quarter to be at 23.5, so we're a little bit under that. Factors behind that are an ongoing vacancy rate of around 10% still. Timing of collective bargaining agreement adjustments, they are not reflected in quarter one yet. We do anticipate to see them in quarter two, possibly more in quarter three, which is likely to decrease any cost savings we're seeing in quarter one. Okay, materials and services. This is a combined category and includes transfers out. Fiscal year in 25, we had 2.7 million spent. In fiscal year in 26, we had 2.54 million, or a decrease of 200,000. This is 34.8% of our budgeted amount. We typically expect 35%, so just about right on track. If we separate the materials and services and transfers out, materials and services actually above average spending. And transfers out were below. Transfers out being below average is because in quarter one in previous years, we had a few large transfers out. So we're right on track overall. The mix of those is a little different than we've seen in past years. Okay, any questions? I'm flying through this. Okay, capital outlay. Fiscal year in 25, actual spending was 74,000. Fiscal year in 26, quarter one was 53,000. Building improvement was 62,000 of a $1.8 million budget. Fiscal year in 26, percent of capital budget in the general fund was 15.6%. In recent past years, we had a lot of front-loaded capital projects, which we spent 100% of our capital spending in quarter one. So the comparison on 15.6% versus 100% is just a timing issue. Okay. Contingency, nothing to report, which is good news. Revenue stabilization. So this is a reminder, a special revenue fund used to address deficits and economic downturns, smooth volatility in timber and other cyclical revenues, and support the general fund during periods of stress. It's managed through our annual budget process. In fiscal year 25-26, we transferred $250,000 from our revenue stabilization to the general fund. Historically, we had done this only in quarter four, so this is new trend in our revenue stabilization. Following the planned transfers out to the general fund for operations, the revenue stabilization will be at a 17-year low. Policy around timber revenue surplus, deficit use, and automatic triggers for use and replenishment are recommended. Okay. All that brings us to the ending fund balance or current fund balance. This is the cumulative general fund position carried forward into each fiscal year or quarter and reflects both planned cash flow needs and the net effect of our prior year revenues, expenditures, and transfers. So again, our key influences were increased timber revenue, our lower than usual personnel budget to actual variance. And our revenue stabilization and parks transfers in. You can see in the orange graph that we're above average. If we look at fiscal year in 23, 24, and 25, we're well above where we ended quarter one from those fiscal years. So we're in a pretty good position at the end of this quarter. We flip to our forecast. I'm sorry, this is tiny. We will get it on another sheet. So as we see this stair step pattern on this is our seasonality or cash flow cycle. If we look at the color coded dots, which is our quarter four projections, this is our driver for budgeted levels of resources and spend down ability into quarter one. With our current standing at the end of fiscal year in 26 quarter one, we have in good standing projected through fiscal year end 27. And we don't get into the at-risk category or below recommended ending fund balance until fiscal year end 28. I do expect that as we see our collective bargaining agreements and other things come into quarter two and quarter three, that this forecast will drop down again a little slightly. With where we were standing, our average gap between revenues and expenditures was still 2 to 3 million as we rolled forward. We were just in a good cash ending balance in quarter one. I pushed that out. Okay, that's the financial position. Any questions?
In the dashboard on page 2, Deborah does a nice job of summarizing how all this looks together in snapshots, see where we're over and under, side by side. Okay. And I would like to make a point to welcome Deborah to the leadership team. Today is her first official day as our Director of Financial Services.
Thank you for this report. It's helpful. I've heard it a couple times now. Every time I hear it, I absorb a couple more details, and I think that it will be helpful to the whole leadership team to have regular updates on this information. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, on to Information Services Customer Survey Update. Okay.
I wanted to give you guys a little update. We talked about in the past few leadership meetings, how we come up with some things recognized and then off of those things, including recommendations so that we're actually and growing from it. So I do want to thank everyone again for filling out the survey if you were able to. Really valuable for us. Oh, yes. So I just wanted to thank everybody, and then I wanted to go over the things that we recognized. There were areas of improvement centered around team dynamics. That's our ticketing system. People want easier access to support through the ticketing system. It's a little difficult to use. Another area of improvement was department-specific support. We have a lot of departments in the county, so it's no surprise that people are like, hey, we need more help with what we're actually going through. Another big area is communication. People wanting more communication about projects, updates, and ticket statuses. Sometimes a ticket will sit there and people don't know what's the next step or who even has the ticket. So a little more communication, and then visibility. People want to be able to receive support more quickly and in person. And project follow through, that kind of follows the communication. People noted that tickets or projects take a long time to complete. Sometimes they're like, hey, we're actually just gonna forego this project because we're not getting support with this. And then training and technology, people really want to engage with IS. They wanna have, more access to training that will improve the quality of their work. So they're looking for those opportunities to work with the department. They're just like, how do we do that? So I think the overall theme that ICON was just a need and a want from the county for more of an IT presence. So, just having an available IT team that can provide various modes of support. The ticketing system, the help desk call line, and in person. A lot of people are like, hey, it'd be nice if you guys had your door open so that we could just walk in and get help. So the recommendations that we came up with, there's no implementation plan set in motion yet, so no deadlines. But from these things, the easy win is simplifying the team dynamics interface for easier intake so that people can actually put in a ticket and use the system that it's meant to do. And then for our IT team, we want to establish primary or secondary team members for support, various support. With all these departments, we do have some departments that have more people and more specialized systems, so getting people on our team who are like an established person for support will be a little more helpful than our generalist model that we have now. And a part of that is just getting a vendor matrix as well for external support to close a gap on any of those external things that we need more support with. And then for our team, this is more of an internal concern, is just making sure that all of the ticket assignments and escalations are warm handoffs. You know, you're not just assigning a ticket to somebody, you're communicating. Like, hey, I'm assigning this to you because I need your support, your knowledge on this. And then it's just all of the troubleshooting and contact attempts should all be logged in the standard in the IT world. It's something we can. Oh, I'm so sorry. And something we can certainly improve on. The next recommendation is to reevaluate remote work. There've been some frustrations with not being able to get support, which is obvious if you're working from home. You're like, hey, I can't help you, I'm working from home. So we want to take a look and see how we can make that more accessible for people to actually get help. And then just being able to find opportunities to provide training and technology enrichment for the county. So office hours, lunch and learns, people were asking for more help with even basic systems like Excel and just how can they improve their workflow. So if there's a way we can actually support that, that would be way better for everyone. And then another thing we'd like to do, since there were quite a few comments about, hey, we're confused about, do we go to our internal IT support? Because I guess some departments have like their own IT specialist, you know? Or do we go to IS? So a rebrand of the department to be IT so that we're utilizing a shared organizational language will also help signal that the department is changing and to make it easier for people to realize, hey, we go to IT when we need IT help. Obviously, these are all things that will need an actual plan set in motion. So I don't have that quite yet, but those are the recommendations I pulled from the themes. So I don't know if anybody had any questions about that. Or able to know. Okay.
Nailed it.
I really appreciate that. I very much appreciate when we do surveys and then we analyze the information we got from the survey and turn them into action items. I think that's really exactly how it's supposed to work, and And it's exciting, I'm enthused for your department, and I just wanted to mention a couple things. One is, you mentioned, people asking for open door policies for IS or IT to have open doors, and you may not know this, or maybe somebody told you, but you weren't here the last time we had building security, and the building security assessment said that the basement doors should be closed for security reasons. So you just may not have that information because you weren't here then. So that's something we just have to figure out. And, the other thing I just wanted to offer is that, praise for your staff, that recently I had my 5-year upgrade to a new laptop and a new phone. And I am not, I'm adequately skilled in the things that I use regularly, but I'm not a computer whiz. So I want to tell you that Andrea and Adam helped me so well. It took a long time, maybe longer than it would for other people. I'm not sure about that, but they were so patient and helpful. And I really appreciated the style with which they're, they didn't make me feel like a dummy for not knowing what I don't know. And which my son does regularly, he's my go-to for stuff, but he will punish me for not knowing what I don't know. And they were just so patient and kind and helpful. And Andrea eventually handed me off to Adam because she has an iPhone and Adam and I have Androids, and he helped pull all the old data off my old phone. And anyway, they were just, I don't have enough good things to say about the staff, so I wanted you to know.
That is so fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Always good to hear. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. All right, Central Services Department work plan. The most notable thing to share an update on is we have concluded bargaining, if you haven't heard, with AFSCME. So that was a huge milestone. We've been working on that for over a year. A lot of prep work with the studies before bargaining officially started. Want to thank the bargaining team, Chris, Irene, Dan, Mary Jo, and Sean. They spent more time than I did on this at the beginning because I came in kind of halfway through, but they all put a lot of time into this. So I want to thank them and helping shepherd that process. So what that means is all of this stuff that we haven't been able to talk about, we can start moving forward with. So a big part of my month is going to be getting the reports ready to send out, getting things in front of the commissioners, sharing things with you all, prepping the communication with the employees. I'm not prepared to speak to all of the items in the tentative agreement because it's not signed yet, but I'm expecting that agreement to come before the board here in the next couple of weeks, certainly in December, as soon as the union votes on it. So with that primer, on December 10th, so that's next Wednesday's board briefing, not this week, but next week, I will be presenting with Truth at the briefing the non-rep Teamsters part-time final report for the job classification study and the compensation study. And my goal is to have that, because I know everybody's going to want to look at this in time to digest it before the meeting. My goal is to send that out to you Thursday, along with the AFSCME compensation report. So by way of structure, there's three reports. One is the job classification study that has all groups except elected officials, because elected officials don't have job descriptions. Then there's the AFSCME study, which has been done for quite some time, and that's been going through bargaining. I will now be able to share that with you. AFSCME's had it. And then the non-rep, and then basically everybody else. We're just lumping all the other groups into one. We won't be talking about the elected official study that's part of the other groups December 10th, because that's a compensation board discussion, but it is all in one report, so you will see the study, but not the recommendations for the wages. So that is really exciting. The compensation board meeting, I am planning to get, now that we have these others on the books, sometime in December, so I need to coordinate with the compensation board on their availability. Let's see. Teamsters, sergeants, that bargaining has also concluded. We reached a tentative agreement with them. Waiting to get a signed agreement from them to present to the board, again, hopefully in December. I'll pause there. Any questions on any of that, where we're headed, questions? I'll try to do my best in the email communication to hit all the points, but if there's anything you're curious about that I may not be thinking to put in an email, please ask now.
No questions, but how about a round of applause for the very long, successful conclusion to that bargaining. And I'm so grateful for your leadership and for that of the team. You know, I know that the team has put in so many hours, and I know that for some people it's been taxing, like the number of hours that have gone into this in addition to the rest of their work. And I'm so happy. I've been thinking about our compensation philosophy and how we, as a group, we decided that how we want to compensate people, and we've really moved the dial on that, and this feels to me like sealing the deal. Like, yes, we have moved the dial on it, and here we are finally with all this information after years, and so it's a huge accomplishment. I'm very thankful.
And I would agree, the other piece that was in there was the employee handbook, which had not been redone since 2014 was last update to it, if I understand correctly, and something else we had been asking for repeatedly, and this bargaining, they did all the work to review that handbook and to bring that forward and actually meet that as well. So there were many asks that were inside this bargaining that I would say had been backed up for years and years. So it really is just monumental what was achieved. So I also very much appreciate, Rachel, your time. I know that you had a lot to do with the leadership of getting us through all of that, and the team as well that spent their time, and the ASME members who spent their time. Because this was, once the bargaining takes both sides, and they did a lot of work on their side as well. So just appreciate being done with the process, but also the amount of work that was achieved through the process.
And segue on the manual, so unfortunately, I don't know if the manual is going to be ready to be effective January 1. It is done, it has made its way through bargaining, it still needs this group's review. I am still waiting on external counsel input on a couple of items. It doesn't have to be done before we implement all of the other pieces, but I would like it January 1, but I'm losing hope on that, but we will push it quickly, and Teamsters still needs to look at it as well. So if that's dragging out, it's because I'm waiting some outside counsel recommendations.
Rachel, I have a quick question. So just because of the volume of work that went into this, how long is this contract good for?
3 years.
Okay, so I can hear you. So everybody can just
Yes.
take a breath and let all these good changes be implemented.
And the Teamsters Sergeant agreement is 2 years, and it will align with the existing Teamsters contract.
Great. Congratulations.
Okay, emergency preparedness closure protocols. So Mackenzie completed collaborating with the leadership team and managers on getting updated contact information. Randy's updated that in Everbridge, thank you, and completed some testing. And so was waiting to get through bargaining, and then I'm hoping this week or next week to just send out a reminder on how we do this and what the procedures are. So that'll be coming soon.
One notice on that, when I send the messages out for an actual closure, please acknowledge it. Because if you don't, I'm gonna get on the phone and start calling you to make sure you understand of the closures. Because I won't know, I can actually see who got it and who didn't get it. So I can go down the list who responded back with the yes or, hit the enter button or whatever, but that'll help it. So I can call those people who didn't receive it for whatever reason, and because those closures are that important. So please acknowledge it when it comes out for real.
So do you want us to acknowledge, because I get a lot of notices, do you want us to acknowledge all the notices, or?
Just the ones with the closure.
Okay.
That goes to the management teams.
Okay.
That way, that's with the building closures. Yeah, you get millions of others that they want you to do too. I admit, no. can if you want, but this one is really, I think, a plus for us if we can get it acknowledged, so that way, I can ensure that all the people got the message that, you know, we're taking the day off tomorrow.
Okay, terrific.
And that's not in the procedure, so I will add that to the procedures.
So, thank you.
Rachel, before we move off of that, it just occurred to me that it would be helpful to have, at least it would be helpful for the commissioners to have a statement of philosophy about, about county closures. Because every time we close, I can tell you that for all the years I've been here, every time we close, we get emails from folks who are just bombastic about we're wasting money and we're babysitting our employees and we should treat them like adults, et cetera, et cetera. So it would be really great to have just a statement of philosophy that the commissioners could just respond to people with a similar statement, or anybody, you know, if other people are getting them. I know the clerk gets a lot of random stuff like that too. So where we could just say, here's the county philosophy.
I think it'd be helpful among commissioners as well, because that rotates with the chair position. So, probably you've got 30 days to get ready. You get to make those decisions, but also just the fact that, you know, that we talk about, you know, it limits other people in the community's movement when we close, because they're not going to the clerk's office, they're not going to the health department, they're not, you know, all of those different things. So it's more than just how we feel about our employees, it's also often the attempt that we're making to keep the community even safer, right? And our law enforcement has to respond to everybody who gets on the roads. If we can keep fewer people out of accidents, we protect, you know, the community and our folks. So just that whole sort of piece of it seems like is what we need to get into our heads.
For sure, and including Public Works, you know, primary to Public Works is that we trust Chris and Randy to decide whether or not the roads are safe. And Chris will know whether or not they can make the roads safe in time for people to be on them. And so it's, it's all of those things, you know, that people aren't thinking about or don't care about. But I have repeatedly answered those emails and thought, I should have a form for this, really.
Yep, same.
And it's difficult at 5 in the morning, you know, I think last year we really struggled because the thing just kept shifting on us. But the question I have for Randy is with NOAA. So 4 in the morning are periodic throughout. I'm calling Randy, Randy's talking to NOAA directly and saying, Randy, give me a specific update for this location. And he reaches out to NOAA and tries to get a little bit more information. Are they staffed with all the federal stuff?
Yeah, they're still doing great.
We still have that.
Yeah, they still do it and they're responding really quickly. I do it through what's called Slack. And it's just a direct communication between emergency managers and NOAA. And I can reach out to individuals and get that, because there's a few that do it just for Tillamook County. And so it's very quick, and I usually get an answer back within, you know, usually time 10, 15, 20 minutes.
And then guesses as far as what it's going to be like.
Right, yeah.
Which
That's
is,
what gets you.
But they at least give us some good information on what it's going to do the rest of the morning, and when they expect maybe temperatures to rise enough to start melting. So it's a really good service they do, and it's still intact.
That's good.
So Aaron, as a current chair, I'm never involved in these decisions and what your thought process is and who you're talking to. Could you put what you do as a starting point for the decision-making process? Yeah.
My 2 best friends and I talk normally about 5 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Or earlier.
Or earlier, but certainly 5 at the latest, because the health department opens at 7. You gotta let them know before everybody gets on the road.
which can be difficult.
They can, and they need to call their patients, so they also have to activate their people. So the night before the hospital.
Okay, that was good. Okay, anything else on weather? HR manager, Mackenzie started her training program with Troop, and I'll have her start joining the leadership team meetings in January, but that is going well so far. Legal, Brian Libel is still planning on coming. His start date is still January 5th, and little birdie told me that he has a place and plans to be here during the week.
He did, he rented one of Lucy Brown's apartments.
Fabulous.
Great.
So it'll be really local.
Yeah, right. He walked afterward.
That's great.
So, this week, along with, pushing out the communication on all the troop studies and the implementation plan, I'm gonna start working with Bill and Joel and you all on the transition of duties and projects. The goal is to have a hard stop with Bill. I don't think there's too many projects that he's working on. I think it's mostly just backfilling with Joel at this point, but there are a couple, so I'm working on transitioning those out. And I think as a practical matter, it won't end up being a hard stop, and so I think we'll let his contract lapse, and then as needed, we can call him with business and he can just bill us as needed. We wouldn't need to have a contract business. Operations services, so we're waiting until January to dive into the operations assessment, but I think we have three good ones to pick from. Yep, so we'll dive into getting a scope of work before the board and the cost. I think it varies quite a bit what we're looking at, so we're gonna do some more homework on that. The AI policy.
The AI policy, I think we just need to submit to the board.
To the board. So we're hoping to have that adopted with some training materials in December this month.
Yes.
Facilities, implementing the space needs assessment, so at this point, that's essentially the BLM purchase. The due diligence period ends this month, there's no red flags there, so we are pretty much just focusing on financing options and proceeding toward closing by the end of March. Courthouse roof replacement, there's a contract on the board's agenda this Wednesday to hire Serta to be our project manager. Then they'll start the design bid process, shooting towards summer 26 for replacement. That's going to be paid out of the building improvement fund at this point. McKinstry's technical energy audit and project development plan. I have moved this one to on hold. At this point, so the ones I'm focused on are related to the courthouse and the jail, and the courthouse projects have all been elevated, which McKinstry wasn't involved in the roof recommendation. So it's the courthouse HVAC replacement, hot water upgrades, and then additionally ADA access at the southwest entrance. Those projects, the next level of them for the HVAC and the hot water is to develop the fine-tuned cost estimates and a design for them, which unless we have the money to implement it, which these are big ticket items, it doesn't make sense to do that now. So the McKinstry contract is just gonna go on hold until we secure the money, and the strategy for securing the money is, today I submitted a package to the Association of Oregon Counties / Oregon Judicial Department Court Facilities Task Force for a courthouse improvements package. And if that funding is awarded, we would get that in 27.
What's the status of the BLM bid? The status of the BLM bid?
So we're proceeding with the purchase to close in March.
Okay.
Code enforcement programs, so Sarah, Paul, and others have been working on that. Thank you. I'll hop in when I can, as soon as I can, but you guys, I understand are making some great progress there. I'm hoping maybe by the end of the month, I'll be able to finally start working on the property management program and getting that person on board. But that is currently on hold. Under finance, so mentioned Deborah starting today, so she will actually be in the Board of Commissioners office. It is fluid, so she's gonna make her slow transition, ensuring that the treasurer's office still has the capacity it needs. We're working through some ideas there, with backfilling and just updating processes and condensing periods of availability to drop things off and things like that. So that's a fluid process. Under the revenue generation cost reduction strategies, financial assessment, planning work sessions, I'll talk about all that together. So as you know, we had the October 6th 4-hour work session, which was just a long time waiting to provide a very detailed overview of the financial position, a bunch of project updates, staff recommendations, and then the board, the budget committee, including the board, deliberated on things that they wanted to work on. And so Deborah and I left that meeting and prepared for the November 24th work session, which was technically the quarterly work session, where we had the updated timber revenues, which is the report you heard today. And during that work session, Deborah presented the financials. I presented a draft board order that we've been talking about for quite some time. None of it should be a surprise at this point, but it's just finally getting this stuff on paper. That will be considered by the board on Wednesday. It's a board order that adopts the fiscal year 25-26 financial strategies and guidance. With the goal being that board orders like this will actually be adopted by the board prior to budget season. So the team in preparing their budgets knows what the board's thinking and what they like the team to be thinking about in their budget submittals. And then lastly, I developed a framework, I'm calling it, of all of the strategies that we've been talking about, that the board talked about at the October 6th work session, and assigned them as high, medium, and low based on a variety of factors, amount of staff time, urgency, and a lead. And gave that to the board to react to. And on the December 10th board briefing, following the troop presentation, expecting at least, unless something has changed, the board to provide final direction on the priorities. So there's way too much to work on at one time in that list. And so what we're looking for from the board is, what are the priorities? And then that will be our final marching orders to actually start implementing some of these things. And some of the things are already underway, but just give the final direction from the board. Okay, I think that is it. Questions on that?
I don't have questions on any of that. I have different questions. I wonder if we can ask Mackenzie to drop into our meeting and talk about Christmas plans. Has Christmas snuck up on us?
This meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Christmas snuck up on us. Here we are in December. I know she has plans for an employee potluck and also for a gathering at the Pioneer Museum. And we need to get it on our calendars and tell everybody.
So it is on the calendar. Let's see, it is, but let me send this email first. I think it was an all staff email, December 17th, 11:30 to 1:30. There's a flyer. So that went out, I think, last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
And I think before that there was a hold. I don't know who all had the hold. It might have just been our office, but
that's the potluck.
yes.
Okay.
So I can just read this in lieu of her not being able to come. As we kick off the holiday season, we want to provide advance notice for our holiday potluck. This is voluntary, and you are free to drop in anytime, 11:30 to 1:30. Please bring a dish if you are able. However, everyone is welcome. We will be providing dishware and cutlery, beverages, and a main dish. And the flyer, it's at the library, again, December 17th, and it is employee only and voluntary. We'll have holiday music and other
Fun. And do we yet have the one for the Pioneer Museum?
I do not know about anything with the Pioneer Museum.
Okay, so there is a plan for the employee gathering at the Pioneer Courthouse Museum in the Festival of Trees, like we've done for the last couple of years. And I don't. It's next week, so we don't need to know. It's been really fun for the last couple of years. I've totally enjoyed
Is Mackenzie involved in that? Because she is able to come in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she's doing an orientation, but she said she can be in here in about 15 minutes.
Awesome.
So, okay.
Yeah. So, and then we've talked about doing like Christmas around the courthouse, like we've done in the past, where departments decorate and departments that want to participate, and then we have a courthouse stroll and visit each other and admire each other's decorations, which is also fun, but I don't know if the date is set.
You're the one that spreads joy.
So it's with all the transitions, everything that's been going on, I think it just snuck up on us this year. We're like, oh, Christmas already, okay. So
That was important.
thank you.
anything on the report I shared? Okay, go around the room. Do you have anything else to share, Brandy?
I think I'm set. Yeah. So.
We are waiting to find out, so Cybersecurity has an active recall right now, and so signatures are due this week to the Secretary of State's office. So we're waiting to see, they have 30 days to check the signatures, so we're waiting, potentially we'll have a recall countywide, first part of February, I would assume. So we're just kind of waiting, to see if they met the signature threshold. And then probably next month, we should probably have a conversation about Senate Bill 1068, and that's where the fire districts can annex in. So I know that Ms. Fire is going to go out in the spring and send letters out and start annexing in. But I think there's so many parts to that Senate bill that we need to figure out who in the county is going to actually be the starting point for that, because we have responsibility as a county to notify once documents reported. Changes happen, building permits are issued, so there's a lot of moving parts to that, and so it would probably be good if we talk about that as a group and figure out, is there one central place, like who's gonna monitor that, because we don't know, when we record a document, we have parties and there's a legal description, but we don't interpret those, so the changes get made in the assessor's office, so, and then building permits and all of that, the fires happen, so anyway, probably next month we should have that.
I was aware that Garibaldi and Bay City are talking about combining districts, but I haven't heard anything about Ms. Stucker annexing in, so will you please tell us more?
In 2023, Senate Bill 1068 passed. Legislators have given authority to fire districts that they can annex into their district properties that are outside the boundaries of the current district. And it's kind of an opt-in, opt-out scenario. And if a homeowner decides to opt out and there's a fire at their home, they're responsible for paying back to the fire district compensation for fighting that fire. And then they have to be opted in and have to be annexed in at that time. If you demolish a property and you rebuild, you have to annex in. If it's sold and the current owner has opted out, but they sell, they have to be opted in. So there's just a lot of moving parts, and we all have parts to play in that. So kind of trying to figure out, it's caused a lot of problems in other counties. We were talking about it last week at AOC. So just probably need to come up with.
Good idea. That sounds complicated. Okay, so but to your knowledge, Ms. Stucker plans to annex in more property that's outside the boundaries.
Okay, he said he plans to do that in the spring.
Okay.
So.
And to clarify your statement about the merger, so it's the City of Bay City's fire department and the Tillamook Rural Fire District?
Not Garibaldi.
Correct.
Okay.
Garibaldi, the City of Garibaldi Fire Department and the Garibaldi Rural Fire District, which is a special district, have talked about merging, but we have two different potential mergers and dissolutions.
Oh, thank you. It was someone from Garibaldi who told me, so that's how I got that mixed up.
Yeah. And that you should have an order next week for the first step in the Tillamook process.
Great. That's a lot going on in the clerk's office.
Fun times. That's it.
That's it. Deborah, anything else?
For the treasurer's office, it's a short month, payroll time cards. Remember those are due right after the end of the time period. And we're in a bit of a transition, so you'll probably get some communication on who's doing what, when they'll be available.
I don't have a whole lot. We've had we've been busy since the start of the school year. Holidays tend to be a little slower. We've been doing a fair bit of shuttling back and forth to Midvale recently, so other than that, we're doing our thing.
Sheriff's office. Next week is the conference, winter conference, so most of the command staff will be gone most of the week. I'm pretty available. I'm not sure if I'm going yet or not, but we're all over there. They're not, they just kind of part of the course thing.
Sarah? Thank you. A couple of quick updates. The Housing Production Solution Fund program is still open. It closes in a couple of weeks. The Housing Commission will start their work with presentations I believe in February. So, if anybody hears anything, I'd say especially the board office with people, we expect to start getting more applications come in as that deadline approaches. Please send them our way. You can also apply online. There's a lot of ways to do that. Parker is in and out of the office intermittently this month, so anybody needs anything housing related, please reach out to me. Elizabeth Whipperman is our OS2 in that division, so she is also there every day. But between the two of us and Commissioner Spread, we are tag teaming the work that Parker needs some assistance with this month. December 3rd, the board has a public hearing. So it's our last community with housing code updates. We have received more public comments. I will be dropping those off to you this afternoon, emailing you a copy, and we'll post them. But that is 5:30 on Wednesday at the port. If you could bring the nameplates again, sir, that would be amazing, and maybe the travel. So I lost mine. I don't know where it is. I didn't bring it this morning. But Debbie, the link is already up. So we've got all that taken care of. So just if the commissioners come with the nameplates and the gavel, we're ready to go. And then the BASA agreement, we just can't say enough good things about that. That's our agreement with the Building Codes Division and neighboring or even statewide jurisdictions, both cities and counties, for support. We have been able to almost completely step away with credit companies and now also partner with other cities and jurisdictions that may have some revenue shortfalls or this is a slower time for them. So that work sharing has just been amazing. Our electrical inspector, Tim Green, today is his last day. So we are actively using the BASA agreement. Chris Corliss does have residential electrical certification, but we have some very big projects still in flux. We're on the home stretch for the community college annexation. They failed their fire alarm test the other week, so we are working with them to get that squared away and a few other things. But Columbia County, when we were at AOC last week, Susie Hall from Columbia County said, "Hey, I saw you need a commercial electrical inspector. I have one available 2 days a week. What days do you want them?" And it has just like, that program is just awesome. So we are actively recruiting. Thank you, Rachel and HR, Randy especially, for helping with that. And then today, Conrad, who is our new Planner 1 start. So Allison left in June, so we have finally refilled that position since June. So you may see him, I'd say, especially the assessor's office. And thank you, Brandy, for your team for getting him set up. And then need to work with you and Chris and Josh and Justin on getting another code enforcement meeting on the books. Justin took the baton and did some great work this last month on that. And then I will be speaking at a law conference. I go to this conference every year as a speaker. And Brian Leibel, I guess, will be coming. And it's land use focused. So excited to see him there and introduce him to that community of attorneys. And Rachel, to your point about Bill, I do have some ongoing stuff with Bill. Dan Kearns has been involved in that, so I do have that pass off. I think it'll still be a pretty smooth transition. But if there's anything that I think is going to be lingering, I'll let you know probably in the next week. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Grace?
So 9 o'clock this morning, we had cruised out on county property off 131, helping to remove a abandoned RV or trailer, whatever. I don't know, it wasn't abandoned. They kicked the people off. We'll continue to assist with that. We are winter prep. We did some training last week on putting chains on that on the trucks as well. We also have the plows ready to go. We've been doing a lot of work on training. Myself and 2 others are going through NACO high performance leadership. I had one of our foremen go to the American Public Works Association with a week-long training. That happened a couple of weeks back. We do have interview for our second. We have 2 foremen, our 2 crews. We are short 1 right now. We interview our second one here in about a week. We are still recruiting for 2 other vacancies within the road department. Shiloh Levy is currently going through permit process with the anticipation that will be worked on next summer. The other thing that's out there is closing out a lot of grants with the Office of Emergency Management, FEMA, Federal Highway, and a few others out there. So pretty short overview.
Is the project at the fairgrounds, is that totally done and we haven't?
Yeah, they're doing a TV inspection through it, so they run basically a pipe through there, see if everything's sealed up. The paving, that should be possibly this week. The paving, because we ended up having to saw cut asphalt in order to run a line up into the fairground buildings. Paving on that will be whenever the paving is, probably in the spring, but everything else should be done this week, depending on the result of the camera inspection. TV is not TV, but you watch it on TV. The
Is the
camera.
expectation that that little lake just won't form, or is the expectation that lake will drain more quickly? I mean, with the design of this and how it went in, what's the expectation of the performance of that?
So the job criteria for that was to protect the Kilchis House, which is now Tombstone Commons. So with that, the whole system was designed in order to protect that. So now that the college is in place, the college is collecting a lot of the water. It's got massive underground tanks that you don't see. So you see these ponds that are at the surface level, but it hits a certain height, and that drains into an underground system and a massive vaults. Those vaults eventually tap into our system, which routes everything over to Highway 6, and it's got the ability to pick up water from the fairgrounds. But the pond that's out there is wetlands, and because we didn't shoot lines out trying to save money, that pond will remain because we met our requirements to prevent downstream damage.
Thank you.
So little change from what we anticipated.
But it should keep that pond from overflowing, which was
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
And since we're talking about that, what the question that we're getting is, was it engineered to, is there concern about it flooding to the north? Is it concern of, is there any concern about us just moving stormwater to the north and flooding farmers' fields that don't currently flood? And I've heard you say in brief in another meeting that it was engineered not to just move flood water, but to over time drain the bathtub. But could you just tell us a little more about that?
So the bathtub, drain the bathtub is that was always the game plan. But as soon as how we lost the FEMA money and the college now came into effect, which is underground tanks. The underground tank will release the water over a period of time into our pipe, which drains to the north. So I'm not worried about water flooding where it's not already flooding.
Great, good. That's the main worry in the community that we hear about, and I have not had a good technical answer for it.
We've had a lot of good water, so I'm not sure anybody saw any flooding that's already happened from some of our rain.
We haven't heard that, so yeah.
Anything else? Okay, Frank?
On the planning end, we're making some good progress on updating our community wildfire protection plan. I was able to secure a grant to pay for that and also a manager of that grant, which frees up my time greatly. And the contractor is going to be coming here this week to do some on-site assessments. We'll be meeting with the fire district and some public officials, so they're moving forward, and they're doing some great work for us. So it'd be nice to have that done. The importance of that is that if we have an updated plan, that opens up quite a few grants that the communities can get to help with wildland protection, and fuels reduction and things like that. So it's really important to have a plan to allow us to get some additional funding to help do that. The other big thing is that I've got a bunch of training planned for this winter, and I've got all the rooms secure now. And the biggest one that I am really looking forward to is the NIMS, the National Incident Management System overview for senior officials. And I send out invites to that to everybody I thought was a senior official and important and would really appreciate that course. I've got two. One is December 11th, which is next week up at the AMA Fire District office. And then again, January 6th, we'll be down at the port of Tillamook Bay. So if some of you still want to go, just email me and I'll send you out the registration form. The reason why I'm doing registration is there is some pre-work I can send out to you. If you don't pre-register, you're going to come in fairly cold. So that's the one advantage there. The other one that has something to do with that is on January 8th at the Tillamook 911 Center. I'm having a course that's called the Emergency Operating Center / Incident Command System Interface. And it's kind of how the EOC interacts with the on-site people and how they work together. And so I've been sending out some invitations on that where, again, the people that would benefit. That's another course we have. I have all these on the website too, so if you want to go there. And then we're diving into some pretty deep emergency operating center functions. And again, in January on the 20th to the 22nd, it's a 3-day course, so that's going to really limit probably a lot of people that can carve out that much time. But luckily, there's enough time that we can do that if you want to. And it's what it's called is intermediate emergency operations center functions. And what it is, it's a way that people who are going to work in an EOC, they start to understand more of what's expected of them, what type of training they need to get, and how it all interacts. And so I think that's, again, a great course to have. And luckily, it used to only have to be taught through the, what they call EMI, it's the FEMA people, but they've allowed the states to teach it. And they're probably going to maybe go back and let the states teach it anymore. I don't know why, so I'm trying to get all those courses in here before we lose them and have to go through FEMA to take them, because this way we can have them here in person, and it really works out nice. And then I'm redoing the Incident Command 300 course and the Incident Command 400 course. Those will be in February, again at the 911 Center. And those are for people who are diving deep into the Incident Command system. And it was requested again that I do that. And so we're getting that out, and I finally got the buildings secure. It's hard because they're 3 days during the day, and it's sometimes difficult to find somebody who wants to give up their meeting room for 3 days straight. So, but 911 Center has agreed to do that for us. And so we'll be sending that out, and the main people that pushed that was the Tillamook Fire Department, Tillamook Police Department, and Tillamook City. They want to have that type of training, and so I'll start getting that out to people too that want to have that additional ICS training. Like I said, all these are going to be taught locally by the best instructor you'll ever have. And so I think there are going to be some great courses for us, and we'll just keep moving forward with getting some additional and more training for people as they see it. So, and remember King Tides this week, and luckily the biggest rain we're going to get has a couple inches between Friday and Sunday. So hopefully the King Tides will go away, and so they're still not looking at any type of flooding through the rivers. Of course, we'll get the tidal flooding with King Tides like we get every year, and everybody knows about those, and so it's pretty much there. And those nasty sneaker waves are back, so just be careful if you're going to be down at the ocean. We don't want to keep our rescue teams busy. We want them to have some time off. So.
Thanks for setting all those training up. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much it was good. So, because with it, I had to, first of all, I have to get everything set up for it. Luckily, Ann did a lot of the registration things for me for the online, but I have to get them all through the state so we can get credit for them. And so that's working with them to get it accredited and then they go out. So, and I've been able to find some additional instructors for those courses that I need, especially the 300 and 400 course. I'll be bringing in some instructors from Clatsop County and from South Lincoln County. Their emergency management departments will help us teach that. So they'll all be local instructors and we'll be able to, especially with the first couple that, or with the senior officials and that, we can really make them Tillamook County specific. We have that option, and that's what's nice about having local instructors there too, is that we can really gear a lot of this training to what happens in Tillamook County and not what happens through the rest of the world. So we'll see how well it goes. Hopefully, we got some good sign up for the first couple of them, so hopefully we'll still see some more people coming. Except we have one county commissioner that hasn't signed up yet.
Not me.
But I'm not gonna say who she is.
She's not in town either of the days you scheduled for, so she will not be signing up.
Okay. Okay.
You didn't check my calendar first.
Okay. Nope, that's it.
Randy, could I get basically, so I can hold time on my calendar?
Yes, I'll send this all out to you.
And the second thing was, at EOC, I met the new director for Office of Emergency Management. She gave me kudos.
Oh,
So, the new director, she already knew your name.
Cool, good. Hey, one good one, now we got rounding bad ones.
So Randy, in fact, will you please send out what you just shared with us to the whole leadership team?
You bet.
And that would be really helpful. And also, I also heard you praised in a meeting at, maybe not, at, AOC last week. So it's getting around that you're doing a good job here in Tillamook County.
Oh, that's why the job officer coming in.
Yeah,
No, just kidding.
you might be recruiting, it's true. And when I looked at the ICS training stuff that you sent out initially, there were some classes, maybe it was the 300, 400, or maybe it was the intermediate EOC functions, but there was somewhere you said there are prerequisites, you have to take them online, and then I stopped reading because I thought, oh, that's not for that. But what I wanted to ask you is how much time is that? If people are taking the prerequisites online, what does that really mean?
The ones that are there, it depends just about how much you know already, because it's an online and then you take a quick test at the end of it. And people who are familiar with the system gets through in a couple hours through everything. But new people to go through it, and you're going to be looking at probably 4 or 5 hours to get through the 100, 200, 700, 800
Okay.
courses.
Okay.
And
In
so,
person, it's 8 hours per 100.
8 hours for 200.
yeah, in person. So, but online you can usually get through them pretty quickly.
So half a day for all of them.
And you can do it at your leisure in the evenings when you get bored. You know, anytime you can do it. Or if you need a break from work, you could start doing some additional training. So,
Okay.
yeah, they're fairly easy to do, and I've got all the links on our website, the county website, where you go in and click and go through them. So,
Thank you.
it's usually pretty quick.
Holiday party.
Okay, so we are working on the holiday party. I did it last year with some help, some folks, and I'm working with Jeff and IS graciously has helped, volunteered to help again. More communications are going to come out. There is, I don't know if everybody's seen it yet. The holiday potluck one went out already for Wednesday, December 17th. I really tried to find a day where all of our commissioners are available, but that is very hard to do in December. And when there are rooms available, which is also really hard to do with the grand jury. So last year we had it here at the courthouse, which worked really well. People were able to come and go as they pleased for lunch, and we left things out for a couple hours. We're going to do it at the library this year for meeting space availability, but also my hopes is we can kind of rotate things to get more people involved each time we do it. And I think moving will help. We're also going to do the Festival of Trees again. Thank you, Mary Faith, for connecting me with Peyton at the museum. We're hoping, I know it's a little short notice, but we're looking at next Thursday, December 11th. Hoping to confirm that today and get that communicated as well. The other activities, 4 to 6. We did the White Elephant Exchange. We did the scavenger hunt, the cookies and cocoa. We'll still do all those fun activities at the Pioneer Museum. That was actually the first time I met a lot of people last year since I just started at that time. And then we'll do Secret Santa Exchange, and I'm hoping we can throw in something else as well that we didn't get to do last year. So looking forward to adding things and working with Jeff and hopefully finding some other volunteers in this short time frame to make all these things happen. But
Have you and Jeff talked about the, Christmas around the courthouse?
yes, the courthouse stroll, I forgot about that. We are looking at December 18th, which is a Thursday, and that would be, again, the last hour or so of the day. We learned last year Fridays don't work well. There are a lot of people that don't work on Friday. Though also the week of the holiday we did last year was not the best either because people are already out on vacation. So we're hoping a little earlier. So December 18th from 4 to 5.
And are we planning to invite departments to decorate and a decorating contest?
Yes. Yep. Same thing. Prizes. I know. I'm really hoping to get. My goal would be to get these things out today or tomorrow, so people have plenty of advance notice. I think most of the flyers are complete, so I just gotta put them all together. I want to send one email with calendar reminders instead of 5 emails. So that's my goal. By tomorrow, everybody will have this information.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Questions for Mackenzie?
No.
Or any other, maybe HR thing?
Okay. Thank you. Of course.
Online. And go on to not have updates. So that leaves Dan. Do you have any updates?
Well, hi, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody had a great holiday. I'll keep it short this morning. We had a real close call this last summer with the camper up at Kilchis, where a tree limb came down and went right through their tent. It was a real eye opener. We learned a lot from it, and that we started to move forward, and we worked with a couple of certified arborists. We've now conducted and completed this last month a complete tree assessment in all of our campgrounds. Not all the trees, obviously, but certainly those ones that impact the camping areas. So now I think the question is that, how are we going to get all those down? So right now we're doing we know what trees have to be trimmed. We know what trees have to be taken down. So now it's just a matter of, figuring out what the cost of all that is going to be and what staff can do versus what we need to farm out and have somebody else do. But it'll be a long process. I don't believe that anything like this has been done to the parks for a long time where it's been a mass accounting. And so it's past time. And because of that, it's going to be a real armful. But we'll keep working on it. In fact, this last Sunday, yesterday, staff started that work. So just let you know what's happening with that. The other thing is I'm pretty excited about it. And the first thing I would like to do before I say anything else is really thank you to the commissioners for all your feedback and direction regarding parking passes for this next year. We have the parking passes. These are going to go out. They're going to be hangers, right? The great thing about it, I think, and we started this last year, but it used to be before I got here that there wasn't any flexibility with these. It was the same price, no matter if you bought it in September or October, and it always ended in December, no matter what. And so our sales, of course, were low because who's going to buy after 6 months or so? These are rolling. So it doesn't matter when you buy the year, it's always going to be good for a year. And what's missing, and someone let me know this the other day, that the second pass that people buy for half price is not on the books, but we'll get a board order on that in the next couple of weeks and to get that squared away so that we're taken care of and we have that base taken care of. The fees are still the same. We wouldn't dare touch these fees, but it's $55 for an annual pass. It's $45 if you're 65 or older, And the second one, if you order one, is $25. And so just to let you know that these are ready and available, and that the sales for this start actually today. I think you know, the last thing I have to say is I was a member of the negotiation team on the with the contract for ASME. And you know what, I personally, I think because I was surrounded by so many people on that team that really knew what they were doing, I think I was the weak link. And I apologize if at times when I was, but I have to tell you that it was really a tremendous experience, certainly educational for me. And I think that we did really good work. And thank you for putting up with me for 16 or more sessions. I appreciate that. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
I will be the first to say Dan was not a weak link. And it was very valuable to have, similarly with Public Works, for the departments that have so many AFSCME employees represented on the team. So I'm glad you were able to participate.
Thank you.
Anything for Dan?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, for the adjustment to the annual passes. I think that's great. I really appreciate you all listening to our feedback and taking action on it. And also, I'd just like to let people know that the half price second pass makes an excellent Christmas present. Everyone I've given them
Right.
to has been thrilled. Hey, Tony?
Hello. I am happy to report a couple of updates for the library. We got laptop loans up and running, and so at the main library location at the Manzanita and at the Pacific City library location, you can now check out Chromebooks and have them checked out inside the library for 4 hours. So it gives you a little more flexibility in where you're seated and where you work within the library. And it's good for anything from, you know, email to filling out forms, any of the things that people do online. But now there will be a little bit more flexibility in how people can do that. And that'll also, I think, over time ease up here at Maine on the footprint taken up by the larger public computers that people utilize. So we're excited for that. It's been going pretty well so far with that. We also, along those lines, we have an app, library app that will be coming. That's built on the Aspen Discovery that is running the library website, that runs the library catalog and the way that patrons interact with it. They'll now have that as an app as well, so that people can engage with their library on the phone, check out what materials are available, as well as what programs are there, and connect all of that with their library account. So we're excited for that. And this December, we're also going to be launching through our website a new winter reading game that will go during the school break for the holidays. And so it'll be a chance for us to experiment a little bit with the software that we have through our new catalog that allows people to engage with the website, and will maybe, hopefully, if all goes well, be a template for what we can do with that software for summer reading, which is obviously a much bigger undertaking. So we're excited to launch that. More details will be coming out online in the near future for that. Yeah, and otherwise things are well. We'll have a good amount of holiday programming, so check the website for different opportunities to hear local choirs or craft, make clay ornaments. That sounds kind of fascinating, and other activities for getting together during the holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Cassandra?
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Well, tax season, the height of tax season anyway, has come to a close. And just as a reminder, we levied 79.9 million, and our collection is about where it was last year. So we're right on track with that. We're at about 86% collected. And by the end of the year, we will probably reach 89 to 90%. I just wanted to take this opportunity to publicly thank my staff. Tax season went off just about seamlessly, if not seamlessly. The tax side processed around 1,600 counter receipts, and my staff answered about 700 phone calls. And I received numerous compliments from the public about the positive attitude from my staff and our customer service. So they did a great job. Again, I want to thank them for their positive attitude and their professionalism during a very trying time for our office. So I'm not going to go through everything I have to do. I have many irons in the fire, and as we all do, and many competing demands that I'm trying to juggle. So that is all I have to report.
Thank you, Cassandra. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Nick?
How's it going? So we're planning on doing a quarterly veterans breakfast. It's tentatively set up for January 30th. I'm talking to Terry Phillips. We want to have it at the Dutch Mill. Also, we're working on getting some branch stones for the Veterans Memorial. And that is it.
Commissioners, Commissioner Milk?
Thank you. Well, the thing I wanted to talk about briefly this morning, actually, I want to ask Sarah and Chris about. Last week at the AOC conference, I attended a session that I just looked up the title because I didn't remember. The title was, this was a Wednesday session, What Happens When the Feds Don't Come? County Emergency Management in an Era of Devolution. Chris and I were there. I didn't see Sarah or Randy. I don't think you were there all week. And so it was fascinating. It was, for me, the most eye-opening session of the week. And one of the things that they talked about was one of the presenters, and I'll reach out to AOC staff and ask for the deck, for the slide deck. One of the presenters said that it looks like the FEMA Federal Flood Emergency, or rather, the FEMA Federal Flood Insurance Program is going away. And so that was. It looks like it. And so, we know how quickly things are happening at a federal level. But that has so many implications for us, not only for everyone in the county who has that flood insurance, everyone in the county who needs that flood insurance because they're in a floodplain and because it's attached to their mortgages. And also, then the implications for banks also that, lending agents, but also the implications to the FEMA BIOP about if the flood insurance program goes away, then FEMA no longer has the leverage that they've been holding over our heads for 17 years or whatever it is. And so how does that change the lawsuit? And so I'm hoping that you two will talk about this, and I think there's a lot more for us to discover. Please.
Yeah, no, thank you. I was actually in that session but couldn't be there. In terms of the flood insurance program, so we have been watching that closely as part of our certified floodplain managers across the United States. This is for FEMA to come out and say, we don't know if the flood insurance program is going to last. That actually happens more frequently than you think, and Congress to date has always taken action to keep it going. So that piece of it is not unique, but with the current federal administration that is adding a new spin on things. So we are all watching that closely. In terms of the FEMA BIOP, so it's a lawsuit, right? So it's independent of the National Flood Insurance Program. What they've done is they've essentially weaponized the flood insurance program to get jurisdictions to comply with the outcome of the lawsuit. But the second piece of that is that if we don't comply, it will remove our access to federal disaster funding relief. So with with or without, so that consequence is two-pronged for non-compliance. One is the National Flood Insurance Program, so you're right on that. But the other piece is that federal disaster funding, which I would say is potentially more important, because if we don't get that funding, we can't restart our transportation system. We just paid off the 2015 storm, right? So we are watching that closely. I don't have any litigation updates today to share, but it's going to be interesting to see how all of these pieces come into play. And I think we should talk about it, and we probably should have a separate meeting about it, especially once I know more from the litigation piece. And I think Congress has to act by the end of December on that extension for the flood insurance program. So I will check that out and give you a report on that. That would be great. Yeah.
So them dropping the flood insurance program is a little bit, I'm hearing differently, again, two different sources coming in. So, confusing messages, but part of that is the messages coming from our current administration. Wait 1 week and get something different. So what I'm hearing is that if they choose to cancel the flood insurance program, is that the disaster emergency relief would still be there. If we voluntarily opt out of it, then that could certainly impact our transportation. But if they pull the program, we're still eligible for a lot of that.
But that's Sam's buyout. That's not the buyout. That's just if the flood insurance program is pulled, you would still have a fund. You would still have a funding source.
That's correct.
But the lawsuit will not go away because of operational risk. Yeah. So we still have to do everything for the buyout to continue to get the money that's emergency response money. It just takes that other piece of it away. Exactly. So leverage still exists, unfortunately. Yeah, that stinks. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
But definitely tracking down information for you for sure.
Thank you. And I just want to mention that Chris did a great job of representing Tillamook County in that meeting. Chris had a lot of very helpful comments and suggestions for the new director of emergency management, state of Oregon, especially your suggestions about them investing in temporary bridges that could be used throughout the state when counties need them. I could tell that you were saying things that were landing squarely with those officials, that they were listening and taking notes, and I would be surprised if they don't take action on some of your suggestions, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So AOC was a great conference. Unfortunately, I got pulled into a whole bunch of timber stuff and missed many of the great sessions. I did have the opportunity to sit down with the governor along with the AOC leadership, working on a couple of different issues. We have a contract issue regarding mental health services in all counties across the state, and the counties have said to the state of Oregon, we will not sign your agreement until you fix some things because you're disadvantaging counties in a way that's just really not okay. So the opportunity to be in that conversation with the governor, as well as to fight some timber things for her, which then we missed the emergency response one. And then they had the state forester interviews while I was at conference, and I was fortunate to sit on the panel. So I spent half of Wednesday and all of Thursday doing state forester interviews, and I don't know who they've moved forward. They've not communicated back to us, but we did do 5 interviews for potential state foresters. Kate Skinner, our interim state forester in Tillamook County, friend, was among the interviewees. So we'll know more in the coming weeks. But just sort of overtook a bunch of my AOC schedule, which was fine. And then the other thing, I am the president of AOC this year, which just means you all will see a little bit less of me in Tillamook County. So, for example, Randy's got this great training scheduled. I'm in, I believe it's Seattle for one of those dates. I'm in Portland for the other date for different things. So I will be spending more time back and forth between Washington, D.C., Salem, and various other places. So I'm sure, Randy, you can stand up online, right? Yeah.
How long is your term? Oh, it's just a year.
Just a year. So we have to change everything about the world in 1 year. So let me know what your biggest issues are. I'll see what I can do while I'm in DC and Salem.
And congratulations on that honor.
Yeah, thank you. We'll find out if it was an honor or a really bad mistake.
Sometimes it's
Sorry I was late. I stopped at the 131 dump site. There's your gentleman, there's your cruiser unloading. I spoke to him a little bit. Then as I was driving in, the car in front of me hit a deer.
Oh no.
And I have a one of the things about the code enforcement I wanna say is, we are working towards it, we do have to do a set of data. Sarah is real close to having an ordinance ready to present to the board, which is fantastic. The hearings officer process has been worked out. These guys have been great, we've just had like basically a whole group of Justin and Chris and Sarah and Josh. And we've identified properties that, one of the things that we're doing differently, and if I spoke to this before, I apologize, but we were more siloed before, now we're working together, and it's interesting to see how much more we can get done. Basically identifying, is this a public works issue, is it a solid waste issue, is it a planning issue, and trying to figure out what code enforcement is gonna look like, and then we'll bring it before Rachel, and she can say, no, that stinks. But
I'd have to do the work.
but it's been going great. We have, like I said, we have a couple of houses. The one on my phone, Miami Foley, there's one on Latimer, there's one on Ginger, that's a building issue. We've got John Henry's place. Yeah, and we'll talk after this. Justin, from Solid Waste has created a cheat sheet for the deputies, so not that they will be code enforcement officers, but it gives them a toolbox if they're at a spot for, say, domestic and the place is just littered. We can address that too with a simple investigation, a couple of photos in a paragraph, and then I'll start the process on the other end. So this is one of the things that the public loves to see. People were driving by, it's true today, just beat going on, and I do apologize for, Josh got a little rambunctious and quick. He decided he wanted to do this the day before Thanksgiving, which caused a lot of problems. It's been worked out today, burdens, and it's just public wants with removing those. And then that's just an ongoing problem, trying to find, hopefully, President here will help us find some funding for these RV abatements because they're very expensive. Also, the other thing that came out of those meetings is that Justin is going to be sending himself another staff member to become asbestos inspectors, which will save us the county money and time. As we pull these trailers in and these campers in, they need to be inspected for DEQ. Of course, we don't get paid for that, but we have to pay for that, and having the inspectors in-house will be very helpful. So all this is just coming forward.
So I was thinking about that. So I don't know if any of you saw this. I think it's more than live that we're bringing. NOMA County has just enacted an RV penalty and fine program for abandoned RVs. They're slow rolling it out, and those fines go back to the last owner of record.
We do it currently in statute. The problem with that is a lot of these things have been registered for 30 years.
Right.
So, but that's part of the process.
Fine, they're figuring all that out, so you should read the article.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
great.
It's interesting. It's hefty fines, and they talked about how expensive it is to recover and disassemble abandoned RVs, and their costs are right along with ours.
Yeah, it's a statewide problem. And there was legislation. The bill that they introduced in the long session, unfortunately, came from the tow truck companies. And once again, I think, and this would be talking about this a lot, is a lot of these things that are happening in Salem, which is why it's great we're going to have someone right at the front of the seat, is that bill didn't talk about counties getting reimbursed. It talked about tow truck companies getting reimbursed. It doesn't help us at all. And that seems to be a problem, is that as all these mandates come down, whether the bills come down, even the farm store on, people don't realize, well, if a certain rule changes who does processing the permits, then our departments have to deal with it, or if the clerk's office has to do something because of a bill. And I want us all to please be wary of that. Let us know, especially Aaron, if it's next year, if there's bills that we should be pushing or introducing even, to stop that kind of hemorrhaging that we're getting, whether it's capacity or actual money. So I will check that out, but yeah, this is a state problem and it should be addressed statewide. So that's why I think we should tow them, and that's why I want to roll back. I keep trying to get us our own tow truck, but he won't do it. I just give you $250 for the. Michelle called and she goes, "Why did it cost $250,000 for a lawnmower?" That's cheap. Anyways, I just also want to thank everybody involved with the bargaining. I know this was a tough round, and I appreciate everybody's hard work on that. That's all I got. That's cool.
Okay.
I have one thing, I totally forgot this, State Archives came to AOC and they did a presentation of works, and they are coming up with a digital retention program now, so that, and because Fuji quit making microphones, so trying to figure out how we're gonna continue to do that. So the State Archives is coming up with a cloud storage, so we will send everything in a zip file to them, and then they do auto purging. So if anyone's sending things to State Archives, they do have a new program, and we get charged by the gigabyte. So, yeah, so that's just something to be on the radar.
Thank you. I wanna play off this real quick, since we have all the leaders here. One of the things I think our board is very committed on is trying to get updated with technology and efficiency. And I think, we talked about it when you did your presentation, and we talked about it with, the assessor's office, is I think the history is there's been a tendency to come forward and say, we really are outdated with it, so we've really gotten behind. I mean, even Justice Court's using pre-DOS. And they were hesitant to come forth. Now, maybe we don't have the money, but we need it on our radar so we can be watching it and making plans. And one of the things that came out of last meeting with, Saunders, one of the big problems, we're having a workforce problem, that a lot of that in certain departments can be solved with technology. And finding people is sometimes harder than finding the technology that can do a lot of the work and take the weight up. So I just encourage everybody, every department, that if there's technology or software or something that we should be looking at and trying to find money for, let us know so we can be reaching out. One of the things that came out of the discussion was, why isn't AOC, why are we doing a statewide assessment and taxation software? Where they all need aerial photographs, they all need AI to help identify places that need assessment, which is gonna help the county's revenue of everything. So, those discussions are coming, but you guys are great at doing that, moving forward. But just encourage you to do more of that. Even if we say we don't have the money right now, we can. Deborah's gonna find it. Deborah's gonna find it.
Okay. Concludes our meeting.
Thanks,
See you
everyone.
after the first of the year.
We have a meeting, a pre-application meeting at 11 with the subdivision.
I bet you it's Teams. I'm thinking just because of the way that it's yeah, we should probably. I'm watching the live, so. Sure, sorry. No, it's okay.